Hey everybody, welcome to Hear Us Out. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Paul. How's it going?
Pretty damn good, my friend, because we are doing the April news roundup for 2023. That's right, folks. What you're going to get tonight is all the stuff that you've missed this month, some of the stuff you haven't missed, but you'll get our opinions on it, controversial as they may be, hot takes, cold takes, takeaway takes, and probably second takes if we weren't doing this live. Actually, if we weren't doing this live, we'd be editing out a lot of takes. I remember the good old not live days, Paul. There were a lot of our cutting room floor was like inches
Yeah,
deep.
yeah.
Everyone.
Especially anytime we did a news story, it also was interesting because we would just pile up with everything we could find, But
Yeah,
now we're trying to cultivate it live.
yeah. We're YouTubing now. By the way, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. But seriously, anybody out there watching, get into the comments. Let us know your thoughts on anything we're talking about. And Paul, the first thing we're going to talk about is one of the less positive stories of the month. It's the Jonathan Majors situation. Now, we usually stay away from these things, as we did for the most part with Ezra Miller, until that became a problem that we had to talk about how it was going to affect the movie and all that. So, similarly, we're talking about Jonathan Majors not to judge or convict or anything or exonerate. That's all remains to be seen. We don't know who's guilty, who's innocent, what's going on, but we do know that it's having an effect on the entertainment landscape.
Yeah. So this is more focused on essentially what the outcome of this kind of the allegations and everything like that will do to essentially the Marvel universe and Creed universe and a couple of other things that he's been working on. So we do know that Jonathan Majors has been dropped by his PR, which is company, and his manager and stuff like that. Um, but Marvel slash Disney has been quiet on the front of whether he's going to be dropped as Kang the Conqueror. The reason that we're also bringing this up is because that this is kind of flooded into other members of the Marvel kind of family as well. Um, so people are now calling, because the radio silence of the Ant-Man cast, um, which people are now also suggesting that they should also be removed from the Marvel universe as well, because they haven't been outspoken about the allegations in any kind of way, which is a bit of I feel like is a bit of a kind of like
My only
guilty by
response to that
association.
is, are you serious? Is my response to that. Because the idea of whatever Jonathan Major's guilt or innocence, however that all works out, that shouldn't lead to guilt or innocence for anybody else for supporting or not supporting, but particularly for people saying nothing. Like, the least offensive thing you can do in this case is say nothing. Like, we're breaking that rule, but that's because we talk about this stuff. But if you're somebody who's worked with him, or you're a castmate from Quantum Mania or from Creed or whatever it might be, why would anybody say, "How come you haven't spoken out?" Because why should somebody speak out just because they've worked with somebody? I don't understand the connection there. It seems really, really strange for me.
It's a bit of a weird one just because like there's plenty of reasons why they may not be becoming outspoken because like if it turns out that Jonathan Majors is guilty, then which goes if they come out as guilty, then or sorry, if Jonathan Majors is found guilty, they could have possibly which had taken away from the victims. Essentially, they're big stars, so the story could shift towards like
Exactly.
some nonsense story of like cast, rest of cast hate Jonathan Majors, something like because of domestic abuse, which is fair that they would dislike him for doing those things, but it takes away from the story of the victims, which have come forward.
Yeah.
Um, and then on the other side of things, if it turns out that Jonathan Majors is innocent and they've said that he's a terrible person because of the domestic or the allegations of domestic abuse, that's that could be damning to his career, and a person who is innocent could be found or could be essentially their career could be absolutely destroyed about not doing anything excuse me, anything wrong.
Well,
So
yeah.
it's a very touchy subject. So I get why the cast are being silent because they might not want to take away from the stories of the people who are coming forward, and they also don't want to, immediately jump on possibly a bandwagon of hating on a person who could possibly be innocent. The whole thing is that these are just allegations as of now.
Yeah,
Like,
but
of course,
the court of public opinion, Paul, is what people are, always referring to in this case. Oh, but no, it's not just about due process and the law. The court of public opinion can decide whether or not you have a career. Yeah, it can, but you don't get to force other people to be on the jury along with you, or like. Have your opinions. By all means, have your opinions. Jump to conclusions or feel that you have enough evidence to know one way or the other that someone's definitely innocent or definitely guilty. But to look across at anybody else and say, you have to get on here and decide with me, I think that's juvenile at best and malevolent at maybe worst. In fact, we got Brian in the comments saying, and when do we get a blooper reel? Yeah, so someday, Brew, actually. If there are current allegations, those people should say nothing. And I don't know what he's been accused of. If a footballer is accused of something, I've never seen their teammates be criticised for not voicing an opinion. And that's footballers with the requisite exclamation marks. It's a bloody good point. And there's a legal side to saying something or saying nothing. Everybody's entitled to a fair trial, even if I think somebody's a piece of absolute scum, and I'm like, if you did that, I hope you get buried under the prison. But still, I wouldn't want to be part of somebody creating a narrative that then someone can't get a fair trial. You don't need every single person in Hollywood, talking about this. We're covering it because there is the actual effect that it has on people's careers, and then the careers that, the movies that those careers are a part of. Will there be a change in Marvel? Will they kind of, innocent or guilty? We need, for our production point of view, we need to make a decision whether or not we're staying with this actor or not. That's the area that I have an interest in. Magazine Dreams, I have it on screen there. That's a movie that was going to be shown at CinemaCon, or at least there was going to be some parts shown or some promo. It wasn't talked about. There's going to be fallout, and it's going to affect other people, but ultimately, and what we talk about here in the channel, is going to affect what people get to see, be that either movies not being released or recasting in the future.
Yeah, because we have Loki season 3, with Jonathan Majors reprising his role as Kang the Conqueror. We have him as essentially this phase's bad guy. Yeah. Essentially, and they've plastered him on the on everything. He is the Thanos of this phase. So it's going to be an interesting one if Disney decides to drop him for, depending on if they just decide to drop him before the court case, then this is going to have an interesting fallout either way, kind of thing. That, did they act fast enough? Did they act too late? Kind of things. Have they dropped someone who's innocent? Like that kind of so there'll be many things that goes wrong with this kind of decision for them, as well as it really, and we're not belittling the allegations in any kind of way. As I said, we're just focusing on the business things. This is real kind of far-widening kind of effects on the Marvel universe, because pivoting to a new kind of actor to take up the role of Kang the Conqueror seems weird but necessary in certain facts. Or do they pivot to an even bigger bad guy that they may have held in the background, kind of thing? Or, as Disney seems to be doing, they are waiting for it seems strange to me that Disney would be waiting without some kind of
plan B,
some kind of
plan B, like some sort of organized plan in the background for either outcome,
or that they've got involved and seen the evidence and have decided to stay silent. And there's
possibly
plenty of routes that this has gone through from a business sense.
That's true.
And I did want to point out, you were saying that there's legal ramifications. The other reasons why cast members might not come out and say things is because they could also be put into defamation cases as well.
Well, yeah, depending on what you say, you got to be careful. That's a very good point, actually, Paul. And if we can finish this kind of rather awkward section of the show on back on Bruce's comment, just for anybody in not in the UK or Ireland, when Brian talks about footballers, we have a long history of footballers being soccer players, would be big sports superstars here. And when he says, and that's footballers, he means, yeah, there's always some sort of drama going on around that. But Brian, it's weird. Hollywood these days, the expectation for everybody to speak out about everything, while simultaneously still having another whole section of the population going, just shut up and act. It's a real weird one. It's one of those challenges of being a famous person that it's why I'm not famous, Paul. It's not just one of the reasons I'm glad. It's the reason I declined fame. I thought, no, I won't.
You put that wish away.
Yeah, that's it.
It is a crazy. It's a difficult tightrope to to walk, as you say, that there's 50% of the people are saying, why aren't you speaking out about these things, and then another group saying, but you're just stay in your box, and it's a weird kind of one. Anyway, let's move on to some more kind of, I guess, nicer, more movie focused kind of stories.
Well, Paul, I have a little surprise for you, because for one image, I decided, you know what, I'm going to see what one of the modern AI image generators will give me when I prompt it for Mario with stacks of cash. And what you have is a very, very robust looking Mario. Wow. I don't know when I wrote roids into the commands, but I must have slipped it in by accident. That's one roided up Mario.
Did it do it because, like you said,
Super Mario? I think possibly.
Or stacked. You know.
Oh, there you go. The segue to our AI podcast that we'll do another time. But folks, Mario, we've covered it enough. Please see the video that I'll try and go back and remember to link above. Mario is making all the money. The reason we have to talk about this is because it's one of the biggest news stories of the month. It's very hard to look at the news this month and not have seen Mario's success. Weirdly, from my point of view, we've had some people come back and say, like, oh, you know, you're not gamers, you just don't get it. I'd like to again reiterate, I'm very happy for Mario. Paul, you've seen the film and you really enjoyed it and said so.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
It's a good movie. It's just, there are factors that we talked about. You know,
it's so good at being fun. I hate it.
There you go.
You know, that's it. That's what it's. That's the thing. That's the problem. I love the film, but I also hate it because it is so good at being fun. So.
And for all the people wondering if it was going to make it to $1 billion, it's going to make it to $1 billion easy, and then some. Oh, yeah. And tomorrow it opens in Japan, Nintendo's home market. So I'm very, very interested in my Sunday night, which will actually probably be my Monday morning, really, looking up the latest box office. Yeah, I want to see if it can do, 200 million in the next 3 weeks in Japan isn't out of the realms of possibility. So that's Mario. Paul, speaking of animated classics, there's something weird. Name one of your favorite animated movies of all time.
Iron Giant.
Okay. I walked into that. Actually, I walked into that knowing that you wouldn't be able to give that as your first answer. So what would be another one?
Lilo and Stitch.
What are they doing, Paul? Why are they doing? Who are they? Where are they doing? All of the questions with
So Lilo and Stitch is another one of the victims of the live action reimaginings. We've also been subjected to such kind of terrible films. It's not terrible films. I also don't want to belittle the work that everybody in it has done and stuff like that. It's just unnecessary.
Yeah, needless.
It's so the live action things of like The Lion King and Beauty and the Beast, and we're getting the Little Mermaids. I'm a little bit more happier about, but because it's been so long since we've seen that one, we got two kind of Beauty and the Beast ones. We got a Cinderella one as well, which no one talks about as well.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point. Under the radar,
no one talks about it, even though it was. I actually really enjoyed that one.
Oh, you saw it? I haven't. Oh, okay.
I've watched the majority of the live action ones just because I feel like to be able to talk about them, I should
That's
probably
fair.
watch them. It's also the reason why I watched all of Twilight, so I can actually go, yeah, that was a heap of garbage.
Same reason I watched all of. Yeah, I did actually force myself through a few things that I knew I wasn't going to be predisposed for, just so I could have legitimacy when talking. In the case of this, you're of the two of us, you are the Disney animation kind of. You're the more well versed. I have spots and gaps where I've missed movies along the way. But I know that Lilo and Stitch holds a special place in your heart.
Yeah, yeah, it's got a special attachment to me and my partner. So it is a very personal film, I would say, and I just don't understand why they are currently. The only reason I can think of it is possibly because it might come out of essentially copyright, and they need to make some kind of new property or yeah, that kind of thing.
Oh, maybe it's very soon for that though.
See, it depends on how long they copyrighted it for,
Yeah,
kind of thing. Especially, and it also depends on, yeah, it depends on a few kind of
I
factors.
suppose
It
that's
also
true.
could be the fact that they're also just trying to go back through their library and make kind of live. Because the thing is that they don't have to pay for scriptwriters or anything like that,
No,
practically. Um,
why have a new idea when you can rebake an old idea? But like Lilo and Stitch in particular, Moana, weird choice. That came out like 3 days ago. Lilo and
yeah,
Stitch has not been out that long. How old is it really? It's not that long. And already people I can see on the internet, because Paul, you told me about this, so obviously I googled Lilo and Stitch live action remake. First story to come up was, oh, you're not casting the right person, or I'm like, oh, okay, right. So now we've got more of this. Does Lilo and Stitch, in your mind, as somebody who's watched it multiple times, do you think it will benefit from live action in any way at all?
uh, I don't think it will. I think that the original will, because everyone will watch the live action version, and go, I should probably watch the original one, kind of thing. It came out in 2022. I just made sure that I looked it up there as well. So it is quite old. It is 21 years old. Um, but yeah,
2002?
no,
Okay, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, I don't think there's no benefit. I think this is going to be an absolute, like most of the other like live action things, which have had a constant mixture of whitewashing and other, production issues, and then just audiences going, why are you doing this kind of like mentality of going to, like, it feels like when people go out to watch it is when they go to watch it is like a morbid curiosity of like, have they kind of like followed the script to the letter, and have they not? And it definitely feels like an experiment. It definitely feels like an experiment where they keep going, well, let's try 50%, or like let's try 100% of the same script. Let's try 90%,
Yeah.
80%,
I'll be honest
70,
though, I wouldn't be able to have this conversation with you had they not done 100% multiple times. Because
Yeah.
if you ask me, should anything be remade, all that, I have the same answer I've given 100 times on this channel. And that is me saying, if you have an idea, if you can make it good, if you put love and care and attention into it, and you create a work of art, then great. Remake, reboot, sequel, prequel, steal from other stories, whatever it might be. But in the case of these live action remakes, taking the exact same thing that had charm and was already a perfectly told story in animation and doing a live action version, tell me that that's not a business move, as opposed to somebody thought artistically, you know what, we'll reach a new audience and there'll be a new depth of emotion or a new connection. There won't. Not for this. This is not a story that's going to lend itself to that in that way, I think. I hope I'm wrong. Like, the happiest thing in the world would be me and you sitting here on YouTube saying, it was really worthwhile. They changed the story enough, or it brought something new to it that we didn't expect. That's great. Hope I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think it's a dumb idea, though. Like, on paper, right now. It just is.
It feels slightly disingenuous to the animators who made it originally as well.
I get that,
You
yeah.
know, that they feel like they can do it better with, live action kind of thing. Yeah, it just, to me, it just feels kind of disingenuous. I see that Pop Culture has popped in and said Cinderella live action is one of the best. I'll go back up, Pop, to the other one. Lilo and Stitch is used in Asia, and they can sell lots of merchandise for the movie. Live action seems to do better. Yeah,
Business.
there is.
It's a good point.
They can essentially reimagine some of the merchandise again, with a lot of stuff. So yeah, it like from a business sense, it definitely it makes sense because they reinvigorate essentially the franchise by merchandise and possible other offshoots of the live action kind of thing. Though I will say that hasn't worked for any of the other. Like the merchandise stuff has definitely worked. The offshoots of possible kind of other shows to come to break off has not worked. They have had ideas for, the Lion King and the Lion King live action. I should point out they've obviously done TV series of Lilo and Stitch and the Lion King and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Sorry, go for it. You first.
So if do you want to talk more about Lilo
No,
and
I was
Stitch,
just before we move. I was going to ask while we're talking about this. It's a very short question. Should we really call the live action version of The Lion King the live action version of The Lion King, or just animation of a different kind?
That is a very good point. It is the CGI version of. I would say that's probably the closest we could get to categorizing it. It's the CGI animated version of.
Yeah, alternate animation version of something, because it was like beat for beat, scene for scene, just a remake. Anyway, Paul, what will we move on to?
Well, I do want to go to Pop Culture's comment about the Disney needs to be silent thing.
Sure.
To anyone who doesn't understand what Pop Culture's comment is or doesn't see it, there is a clause traditionally in contracts about this kind of stuff for the Jonathan Majors story. There is a clause in contracts that says that if anything comes out about them, they essentially break contracts, and Disney will be able to claim insurance back on the whole contract and everything like that. So it is an interesting point of why Disney would also stay silent, because if they also are seen as breaching contract before he is found guilty or not, it's an interesting point. So
honestly, I respect them for saying nothing, because again, why anybody needs to say anything until the people who are investigating this do their job. Let's have respect for everybody involved, particularly the victims, if that's the case. So Yikes. Paul, a little quick light biscuit to clear the palate there.
Yeah, a little bit of ginger. Anyone gets the sushi reference.
Exactly. Well, anybody out there who has, because Paul, me and you are nerds. Lots of people are nerds now. It's great. We're not alone. But at some point in your life, particularly if you're an older nerd like me, you would have had in the late 80s, early 90s, somebody going, "Oh, you like all that space stuff? What do you like better, Star Trek or Star Wars?" At which point, then you would have to just slowly take the intake of breath and go, "Well, they're nothing really to do with each other, because one of them's a series, and blah, 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 and cast of crew, and then Jedi's." It's funny that what I see as the two most successful properties for Star Wars and Star Trek, respectively, Mandalorian and Picard, ended at the same time recently in the same week. So season 3 for both of these, the final season for Picard, nicely, and no spoilers here, nicely leaving things open for future Star Trek Picard universe stuff. Similarly, The Mandalorian can keep going. We've got the Ahsoka TV show coming up later in the summer, I think.
Yeah.
This isn't really a news story as much as it's passing of a moment to say, for me, it was curious that they both got attention at the same time, and nobody related them back to the original series or Empire Strikes Back. Everybody was really into these as the new versions of what they want from these franchises. And in the case of Picard, that was going back to the next generation.
That's the interesting kind of divide for me, is the fact that Mandalorian, I haven't finished Mandalorian. I will openly say that. I think I'm an episode behind. Picard I have finished. Mandalorian is the most popular kind of, and it's a new IP, brand new IP kind of stuff. Just basing on the Mandalorian story and stuff like that. So It's a good one to have finish off and stuff. It's a very popular one going on. I know that it's come to mixed kind of reviews about its direction and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything. The Picard one felt like a kind of a. It felt like an homage, a closing off of a story that's already been established, kind of thing, and it was beautiful. Did you by any chance feel like, because every time I watched Picard, there was moments in which like a localized weather phenomenon would happen just around eye level. There was a lot of moisture around. Like I don't know what was going on. And
Yeah.
scientists, please contact me.
I don't know. I had weird lumpy throat syndrome. I asked my doctor, and he's like, "Just stop watching things that you love, and that have an emotional effect on you." Yeah, it works.
Yeah, that's the one thing I will say that the big difference between the two series. I'm enjoying Mandalorian for what it is. It is a new story with new characters in a universe that I love. Picard was a beautiful homage and closing off of a loop of a story that needed it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, and in it, which, in my opinion, in a very very nice way. Now, the open questions in that have come out of the ending of Picard, I won't. You'll in no way be able to speculate properly on them without actually being involved in the next season of whatever. Like, are we going to follow on from other characters from the series?
Yeah,
and that kind of thing. So,
is this a point in time in the Star Trek universe that we're going to pick up and have TV shows from, whoever they contain? It's just a point in a timeline now, and I think, again, had it in here in case we needed a palate cleanser, and I think it's a nice little palate cleanser. I'm really glad you enjoyed Picard, and for anybody out there who's a Star Trek fan, I really hope you did too. There are some people who were disappointed and had gripes. I feel sorry for them, because the localized weather phenomenon was worth it, very much worth it. Paul, April has been a month of trailers aplenty.
indeed.
Too many trailers in one case, but let's have a quick fly through. So we've got multiple Flash trailers in the run up to its release, and as of kind of yesterday when they did their preview at CinemaCon, lots of people's first reactions. Again, the overused phrase of best comic book movie of all time. Positive. I'm just going to say that there's a positive feeling. Once someone writes that, I'm like, I'm not counting your review anymore, your sentiment. It's just too much hyperbole. Blue Beetle is the other thing, though, and this is where I need your help. I was like, I wonder, it'll be great. I can't wait to see a Blue Beetle trailer. The minute I did, I was doing that thing where I was like, why don't I feel anything? Apparently, I don't care, or I'm jaded, or I don't know, maybe it wasn't a good trailer.
I think that this is so. I think it's a good trailer. I think it's a character in which no one is very used to, kind of thing, and it's a story in which not a lot of people are also used to. So I think that right now it's going to be the DC's jumping off points of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right.
Where everybody saw the first trailer of Guardians of the Galaxy and went, "Ooh, I don't know about this kind of stuff," and then loved it. And I think Blue Beetle is an interesting start off point to the story of what I guess James Gunn is going to continue on with. So it's an interesting character. It's a fun character. It's an interesting look. That's the other thing. Because hopefully this is very indicative of what James Gunn is going to try, which is color palettes or looks for each of the characters, so that when you're watching a movie, it feels different to the other ones.
Everybody's got their own color scheme.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, and also it just means that it's like it means that you don't have like we have the anytime we've been in space in the Marvel universe, it feels very 80s. Kind of thing, and then when we're back on Earth, it feels very kind of realistic and minimalistic and stuff like that. Whereas I think in the DC kind of idea is that each of those characters will have that kind of play. They'll have their own particular style that they bring to their movies, and then in an ensemble movie, they'll probably kind of bring it all together. So Blue Beetle, it's very difficult to kind of say from now. I say that it's the Guardians of the Galaxy 1 kind of trailer, so you're not meant to feel anything yet.
Okay, well, and again, not shutting myself down to it. It was just one of those things I was really looking forward to seeing because I have no real history there, and it just didn't connect. Hopefully, the next one will. But on the other side of the DC Marvel fence, you've got the Marvels trailer, which I was very much looking forward to, and which I very much enjoyed. And then I very much forgot to not open the internet. I'd like to say another big hello to all the insecure, weird men and women out there who seem to have some sort of vendetta that they just want to freak out and scream about woke stuff. It's the Marvels, people. Just chill out a little bit. I know Brie Larson annoyed a particular sect of society a few years back, and anytime she shows up in anything now, they go for her. But man, I enjoyed the trailer. I thought it was good. And then when I went to see reactions, I was like, can I get something that's to do with the trailer? Something to do with the actual property itself, and not all this other imposed by everybody's own feelings crap.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely agree. It did feel like most of the stories around the Marvel kind of trailer were peripheral to the actual trailer. There was
Yeah.
no kind of like, oh, this means that they'll have this, and this means that they'll have that, and the storyline that they might be going with is that it was more kind of like, idiots hate women, and it
Yeah.
was just like, come on, like, it definitely needs to be talked about. We need to talk about it, but why is this the main story?
Yeah.
Because that's also got to be disheartening to the people working on this.
Oh god, yeah.
That it's not like, it looks great.
I think so. And like Iman Vellani from the Miss Marvel TV show, it was the moment that it really dawned for me. She is now a movie star, as well as the brilliant performance she did on a streaming TV show, and I couldn't be happier. Like, I hope that is one young lady who will grow into one amazingly successful woman. I hope, because she's got charm and skills to beat the band. So, Paul, good news is antidote is always to have a little bit of Muppets in your life, and the Muppets Mayhem trailer. I'm there for it. We're going to do a movie that's based around the band Electric Mayhem.
Yeah, that's going to be great. I think that's just going to be an enjoyable thing because everybody loves Animal.
Yeah.
But they need to learn more about the other members.
Janice is great. Yeah, Dr. Teeth. Like I was a big fan of the band as a kid watching the Muppets. So, and yeah, Animal's everybody's favorite. Like anybody who says that, oh, like my favorite's actually good. No, like deep down though, really, when you don't have to try and feel like you're being special around other people, it's Animal.
Even if you say that it's not, like, you could say that anyone else's, when Animal hits the screen, you smile.
Damn right.
So
get in the comments, folks, with your favorite Muppet. I expect to see Animal written a bunch of times, and then one person making the joke of saying, well, it was actually Scooter. Nothing against Scooter, by the way. I really like Scooter too. And Rolf. Really liked Rolf.
Ralph was great.
Yeah. Not you guys. Oh, that's Brian just shouted Muppets in the chat and then reminded to say not us. The timing worked out perfectly, Brian. Don't worry. So Paul, other trailers of the month. I don't suppose you caught the Fast X trailer?
I have not yet.
I can prepare you for it. Just imagine ridiculous turned into a trailer. Like the word put into ChatGPT that said, make me ridiculous trailer -family -Dom Toretto -make sure physics doesn't exist ever again.
I'm all there for it. This is where Dom and the family suddenly merge together into Dom family, and
one big grotesque monster.
It's like Captain Planet, but if Captain Planet wanted to just be the engine of a American muscle car.
Instead of like Earth, Fire, Wind, and Heart. See, I know all of the Captain Planet people. It'd be like Punch, Stare, Stomp, Flying Car, and
Joke.
Exactly. I watched it and thought, this could go one of two ways. Because some of the Fast and the Furious movies have been brilliant because of their ridiculousness. The last one was awful because of its ridiculousness. So, it's a razor edge. This trailer did not give me the confidence to say they've reined themselves back in, but it also didn't make me write the movie off as it's going to be terrible.
they've also all started working on Fast 11. So just to
Yes.
ruin, yeah, like just to ruin anyone's idea of they like if it like we'll see if they
Consequences.
get it. Yeah, if there's a fast if Fast X is real bad, maybe they won't get a Fast 11. They've already got a Fast 11 in the
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
These movies make bank, everybody,
Yeah.
even though they definitely probably shouldn't, but they definitely make bank because they are crazy enjoyable Maverick movie esque movies where they're just popcorn enjoyable, turn off brain kind of fun. So
Yeah.
there you go.
They're my Mario movie because I love them, but man, I'm not going to be defending their Oscar worthy storylines. Guardians of the Galaxy, Paul. When it comes to trailers, I think there's probably another 6 that have come out while we've been on here.
Pretty
I
much.
cannot watch any more Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 trailers because I will not go and see the movie because I will have seen at least 60% of it if they keep going the way they're going.
Yeah, no, I agree. You can get my opinion right after the break, which goes in a couple of minutes. Which just to kind of get you back. Let me tell you, it is controversial.
Oh, there you go, folks. That's prime YouTube. You got to stick around and see why I tell Paul he's wrong. Like two, but Hear Us Out isn't the only choice. You should check out our friends over at It Takes Two podcast. It's a podcast where two people take two films with the same plot or premise, watch and discuss them. Films like Gremlins and Critters, or The Truman Show on EdTV. Lisa and Nick don't stop there though. They get creative and compare some unexpected movies. Some that you don't see the connection until you realise that they can be described in the same way. They launch new episodes every second Tuesday, or Monday if you're in New Zealand. Find them on your favourite podcast service, or check the link in our description down below. That's It Takes Two podcast. Tell them Hear Us Out sent you. Hey everybody, we are back because Paul promised us that he was going to say which Guardian is, he knows for sure which Guardian is not going to make it. Paul, do not answer that. Do not even answer it as a joke. Even as a joke.
That could be a dangerous one.
Yeah.
Yeah, my controversial thing on the trailers that have the multiple trailers that have been coming out. I don't think the film's going to be that good.
That is relatively controversial, but I hate to say it. I had massive hope for this movie, and I'm kind of glad the trailers are bringing that down a little bit. I do think it will get me in the feels, but I don't know if I'll come out of it going, as an overall whole, that was an amazing movie. I may be like, that grabbed me by the heart and shook me around for this plot line, but not maybe as a movie, a whole movie. Who knows?
Yeah, I get that because in Guardians 2 wasn't an overly massive success for me. But there is a moment which really got me by the heart strings, and I'm hoping, like, I hope that they will give me a full blown, rounded, well thought out story which has characters that I love in it. But we've experienced this multiple trailer kind of blast before, and it has turned out that it has not gone well in the sense of, like, you know, it's them trying to cover. It's just like if we plaster enough out there, then we can blame it on the fact that we showed half our footage on trailers, you know, kind of thing. Which that's what it feels like. So yeah, well, I don't think it's going to do well.
Review embargo lifts tomorrow, so not that reviewers are people you necessarily want to listen to. Always make up your own mind, but it'll be interesting to see if it's a hot or cold sort of moment. Paul, speaking of all that, CinemaCon has been on this week. In fact, it's going on right now while we speak. We don't have the money or the clout to get ourselves in or there. But it's great. CinemaCon, for anybody who doesn't know it, this is for the distributors, North American theatre owners, NATO. Not that NATO. Not the NATO you were thinking. The theatre owner, NATO.
Yeah,
it's where
Ukraine hasn't decided that they're going to join the, you know, North American Theatre Owners Association.
They haven't become the Ukraine multiplex just yet. But yeah, it's
that's a good name though.
Unfortunate names. That is actually unfortunate name coincidences aside. CinemaCon is where all the big studios come and woo the theater people. And my gosh, after like the darkest timeline and the pandemic, CinemaCon took on a new meaning in the last couple of years, and it's great because we could do a whole show on this. But some of the things that have come out of it is like, David Zaslav from Warner Discovery coming out and saying, we go to theater first. Like, these are the people who own HBO Max, soon to be Max, talking down streaming and saying theaters are where it's at. We're going to theater, then we'll do our own video on demand, then we'll go to our streaming service Max. That's the way we see success. That's the way I've seen it for so long now. And when he means so long, he means 9 months or a little bit more since he showed up, because the previous people nearly killed the company by putting everything out on streaming at the same day they were releasing stuff in theaters. And it caused a gigantic rift that is now, numbers are supporting it. You make your movie, you put it out in a theater, even if it's a made for streaming movie. Netflix are the only ones not really getting this yet.
Yeah.
Apple TV are making big budget movies. They're putting them up knowing that then people will, it advertises itself. Oh, that was a cinema movie that I'm getting to watch on streaming.
Mm-hmm. It's so yeah. A lot of the other companies that are coming in from the reverse side of things, I'll say this, that they were cable networks beforehand, or just studios that have now come onto the streaming service. Yeah, they're learning the hard way that not all streaming is the best idea, kind of thing, that they're going to go back to their original plans. Apple TV has a different thing, which is we are locking down so much of our good stuff within our service that you have to get it. You will not get it anywhere else. This is what Netflix did originally, but now Netflix have realized that they can make money from having Oscar clout. So they're doing limited releases in certain areas so that they can be involved in the Oscar kind of clout, kind of thing. But I don't understand it. I definitely think that Netflix needs to start kind of going towards the theater a lot more.
And they've stated that they're not gonna, and it's such a weird thing. I can see them rolling that back. A few years ago, Paul, when you and me, we had to stop doing recordings and start doing live shows because of the pandemic. One of the most common topics for us was when this all ends, or when this is all, when life goes back somewhat to a little more normalcy, I really hope theaters and cinemas are there for us. I hope that we're able to support them. I hope that the industry supports them and doesn't, that we haven't changed the paradigm altogether. As it turns out, cinemas are like, they're back on the rise when it comes to relevance as far as the business model, as well as our personal feelings about it. So I'm all full of the win-win-win here. It's why this CinemaCon in particular, I'm following so closely and so excited, because Top Gun Maverick, they showed all of Top Gun Maverick at CinemaCon, and a lot of people came out saying this thing's not out in theaters for months and months, but yeah, we're all happy. We know our cinemas, our theaters are going to be full, and they were right.
That's the thing. I think from the cinema, I think from the Darkest Timeline, I think it's really strengthened. We were terribly worried about the foundations of the cinema goers and the cinema world, but I definitely think that this has just solidified them and just been gone. No, it is not going away. This is where you make your money. You can make sequential money that isn't anything to laugh at either, but you will not make the same money out of the theaters. So, happy for this outcome.
Yep. So keep going, Mario. Keep going. Everybody, no matter what way you're making the theaters money, make the theaters money so that we can have all the good stuff. Paul, Elemental was brought up.
Yes.
You had this on your list. I'm very excited for Elemental. I actually think this will be another Inside Out where people will underestimate just how much it'll come and get you.
Yeah. No, I do agree. Pixar have been definitely slamming it out the door. Which was with Life and a couple of other, the Machine versus the Marvel family, or the Mason family.
What was it? Mitchell's versus the Machines, I think.
Yeah, kind of thing. So they've definitely been hitting I don't think that's actually a Pixar film. But yeah, no, there's been some great which is Pixar films coming out, and I definitely think Elemental's going to slam us all in the heart, as Pixar likes to do. Kind of thing. Let's just hope that it's not the 10 minutes, the famous 10 minutes. Yeah. But the reason that we're bringing this up is not only is it going to be probably a fantastic film, and we're not trying to big it up, it's closing the Cannes Film Festival, which is a strong place to go Like Pixar have definitely like made their moves to get us into the final to be the closing movie for the Cannes Film Festival, and that's a big thing. They must have a lot of confidence on this film, so expect a lot to come out of it. So
I'm very excited for it. And actually, just while it's still up on screen, Brian, you were asking, thought attendances were down in pre-pandemic. Yet the overall numbers are down, but climbing back at quite a good rate. And also, the highest attendance number ever was the year just before the pandemic. So, if you actually compare it to a few years before, it's more of a fair comparison. And you're saying you agree, release in cinema and don't rush to streaming. Absolutely. I saw Glass Onion in the cinema, and I'm really glad I did. I thought Netflix were really silly not to try and milk a little bit of cinema cash out of it and then have it on streaming anyway. And Brian says, but then again, it probably is much better than feared after. Oh, it's probably much better than feared after the pandemic. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Paul, Elemental for me, the reason I mentioned Inside Out, people overlook Inside Out all the time. And then when you mention it to them, they go, oh God, yeah, that was actually better than I thought it was going to be, or better than I remember. It's not a digitally animated film by any of the studios that sticks in everybody's head. It's kind of like Soul. A lot of people have forgotten Soul. But then you mention it and they'll go, oh, yeah. Oh. Yeah. I think this one is going to... I think it's going to take the opening scene of Up, mash it hard into the Bing Bong scene of Inside Out. Like I think we might be pouring me out of the cinema rather. I might be swept off the floor. So we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, if it has any kind of clout in any kind of way to any of those movies, then yeah, it's gonna be a good one. So, but as I said, it's a fairly confident move to be putting it as the closing movie for Cannes Film Festival. So
that's very cool.
You know?
We have a couple of quick ones before we close, but I just want to say that Brian says, I shall stay quiet on Glass Onion. Brian, I know you hate it, and that's okay. And I can kind of understand why. It worked for me, but it's not going to work for everybody. Inside Out is fantastic. Thank you for that vote. So, Paul, do you want some Joker or Fantastic Four? Which one do you want to end on? So, which other one do you want to pick?
Well, we can. So, Fantastic Four gets rewrites. It just means that the famous Marvel family has still got a lot of pre-production kind of nightmares to go through. Just that it hasn't obviously hit the chords that they want. So far, interesting enough that we still haven't got a full list of cast and everything like that come out. Obviously, we won't until the movie is in. So we don't know if John Krasinski, which we definitely think he's probably going to be playing Mr. Marvel or Mr. Fantastic, sorry, as you know, reprising his role as Mr. Fantastic. It's just who else are they going to get? You know.
I'm less confident in where they're going with Fantastic Four now because it seems like they're less confident. I think Marvel is in a bit of a tailspin. So Guardians better work in some ways. Also, it's become cool to hate Disney. It's just become cool to hate Disney because, you know, once you're on top for long enough, people just like taking swipes at you anyway. Yep. But also they've put out some not so great product too. I wonder, and Paul, we may well do an episode at some stage. Has the mistake in Marvel's strategy been that they waited too long for once they acquired Fox to get their X-Men and their Fantastic Four back in there? Have they waited too? I think we got to wait for the next few movies and find out. But there's a good chance, everybody, that if Guardians is terrible and they have a bad summer, we may be doing an episode something just along those lines.
Yeah, that makes sense. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. We'll keep you informed about any breakthroughs of the Fantastic family. So,
and Joker 2 wrapped filming. It's done with production.
Yeah, Joker 2 with which because we've got Joaquin Phoenix and which because
Lady Gaga.
Yeah, I was going to try to say Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn, so that's going to be an interesting combination. But yeah, we've got final wrap, which means that it should be probably another 6 months. Sorry, guys, it's probably going to be another 6 months as it goes into post production and marketing. So it'll be an interesting one, but it's a really interesting. it's nice to see that this was finally kind of wrapped. We do have some. There is some pictures from the sets and stuff. We do have a reprisal of the stairs,
Yeah.
the famous stairs that have really also the stairs. Look up the news stories about the stairs and the residents of those
Oh
stairs
gosh.
because they are not happy that the film is back. They're not happy that the film existed. They're not happy about the tourists that are now dancing up and down those very dangerous stairs. But
Yeah.
yeah, so yeah,
That would be really fucking annoying. To be fair, it really would be.
it would. It is fair. Which that's another also other story that we could also do. Places that movies have ruined for the residents.
Yeah.
But the reason we're also talking about this is that this is the film that me and Patrick slightly wavered in different ways. As in, I wasn't thinking that this was going to be good. I wasn't. I wasn't supportive enough, I guess, of this film, and very shaky. But you were very much saying that DC's individual film projects have been amazing. So this one's an exciting one for us to see if they can recapture that magic.
Yeah, yeah. And now, to be fair, Paul, you're always really hard on yourself on that one because it was at the very first look at the Joker teaser trailer. We did an episode, and you were like, "Yeah, not so sure," and I was like, "Oh, I'm very, very sure." But it wasn't long, and we were both saying, "Hey, one of the two of us is going to come out of this wrong if we both like it. One of the two of us is going to come out of this wrong if we both hate it, or we may just still feel the same way." It just turned out to be good luck that they nailed it, and it could go the other way now. That's the other thing. I'm tempering my expectation. You're now the one that's more confident than me, which is really funny on the sequel because I'm starting to go, have I been too supportive? Because yeah, like I'm glad they're doing something different and wacky. That should work. Oh, but it could be an absolute train wreck.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I'm holding it. It's got a strong start.
Oh, yeah.
With the Joker one, so it's got a lot to live up to. So I'm just cautious. I would say that I'm cautious as well. I think that they did a fantastic job, and if it's even 70% as good as the original one, we still got a fairly good, great movie on our hands. Anything above that, we're just going to be happy. Anything below that, I'm not going to be surprised because recapturing
risk.
that magic.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, good point. It now has a shadow to stand in, which can make things very, very cold. So, Paul, how would you like to close out the show? Did you want to go through a couple of quick mentions of what's come out and what's coming up?
Yes. So, do you want to take the ones that are coming out, or do you want to come to the ones that have come out?
I'll give you a quick rundown of what's come out. So this month we've had Super Mario Brothers movie. We mentioned that. Cube, The Pope's Exorcist, which outperformed. I'm very happy for them that it did. Renfield, which didn't, but to be fair, I think it was never going to be a huge box office smash. I think it'll do gangbusters on streaming. I think it'll do really well.
Yeah, I think that's a very particular type of film.
Yeah.
Nick Cage kind of lovers are going to absolutely love it.
Yeah. Evil Dead Rise, that's turning people's heads too. A lot of people are saying this is what we wanted, so really happy for them. Guy Ritchie's The Covenant. Paul, that's on the list, but I know very little about it and didn't really pay attention.
That is the oh my god, I can't believe I've completely forgot his name. That is the movie about the guy who played Mysterio in Spider-Man.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal's character is a special forces which is soldier who left Iraq and
that one. Sorry, I remember it now.
The interpreter saved his life. It's based on it's loosely based on a true story.
I can't believe I forgot that one. Yeah, thank you. Sorry, that was brain fart, folks. Brain fart. TM, us. We're now claiming brain fart as our idea. I know other people have said it. So, Paul, what have we got to look forward to?
Guardians of the Galaxy version Volume 3 obviously comes out next month. Hypnotic comes out. Hypnotic, I just have to remember, Hypnotic has an interesting cast. That's why I've also brought it up. I think it has Mark Hamill and stuff like that in it. Which is the reason why I've brought it up. It's a mystery film. Maybe this isn't the one. It's a mystery film that seems really interesting. Essentially, it's a self-improvement kind of one that's kind of reminiscent of the Cure of Wellness kind of thing. We have the Still, a Michael J. Fox movie, which is the partly documentary film as well, which will be very interesting to see his story. Which because we have Fast X obviously coming out. White Men Can't Jump also will be coming out, so that'll be an interesting one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, that TV show's launching this month. And just a little spoiler for everybody out there, myself and Paul have previously recorded something about White Men Can't Jump that we'll be releasing just after the TV show goes live.
Yes, and we have The Little Mermaid obviously coming out as well. Another one of the live actions remakes, and then we have The Machine. So they're the ones that I've picked personally, just that have my interest.
The Machine, Bert Kreischer's Machine, based on the joke that he made a lot of his fame and money off. I think it's great when you see art cross modality like that. It's about as meta as it gets to have somebody hit the big time with one of their best stories on their stand-up show that then not only catapulted them to fame, but the story itself is then dramatized and turned into this. I love it. I love that we live in the time we live in, Paul.
That's I'm excited about those films. So we'll probably do another one next month at our news roundup as well, but we'll probably stop but not do the ones that we've just come out with, because as in the ones that have just come out, because we've just told you the ones that we're interested in. May have a piece about which ones we liked, but that's all to look forward to.
And folks, this is our kind of least organized show of the month, so if you enjoyed it, you can enjoy it even more by getting your topics in every month. This is your chance to definitely throw in what's happened that you want our thoughts on. Myself and Paul don't always agree, so sometimes it gets a little bit hot and spicy, but we always remain friends. And that's what you should all do, because anybody watching this right now, I consider you a friend, because you've spent your time with me, and I appreciate that. So Paul, you're my friend. Would you like to say goodnight to all the rest of the friends?
So thank you very much for watching. Good night, and hope to see you again. Comment down below if any of the stories you want us to talk about a little bit further with you. And also in the comment section, in the community section, let us know if there's any stories that we missed that we should have kind of covered. Thank you very much for watching. I've been Paul.
And I've been Patrick.
And we've been here as Ames.
Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you soon. Bye, everybody.